Great Lakes Ventures, let's dive in. Great Lakes Ventures, let's dive in. Great times, great vibes, let the fun begin. From the shoreline to the open blue, this journey's made for me and you. Great Lakes Ventures, come along for the ride.
We are here at the Dells Upper Boat Tour, and guess what? We're not gonna let the rain stop us at all. We are going to do this tour, rain or shine. So let's go.
Excellent. So, before we get going, I do need to tell you a little bit about life jackets. Now, we've been doing the Dells Boat Tours for 168 years, and in that time, we have not needed life jackets on board a cruise, knock on wood. I don't anticipate any issues today, but Coast Guard does require me to tell you all about them. Now, if you do need a life jacket, they are at the back of the deck right there, those two giant boxes. What's nice is we have plenty to go around, probably 2 per at this point. But also, they're not 168 years old. So, they're the horseshoe kind, so they just go over the back of your neck. There's a line that wraps around your belly, clips right here, and then you float stylishly down the Wisconsin River. And then in case of emergency, you need to leave the boat, don't worry. Literally anywhere you can get to the water is your emergency exit, okay? If you miss, don't worry. Climb back on board, jump off again, and try again, right?
So you want to break the record? 160 years?
No. How dare you? Just kidding. All right, we're gonna get started here pretty shortly.
All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome aboard the Yellow Thunder. How are we all doing today? Good. Just checking, making sure. All right, excellent. So I'm not gonna really see a lot of you until I come up to say hello a little bit later, but I am the one in the blue hat. My name is Matt, and I'll be your tour guide today on our 2-hour, 10-mile round trip tour of the Upper Dells Wisconsin River.
10 miles.
Now on this tour we will have 2 ports of call, or 2 stops. Our first one being Witches Gulch, and our second of course being Sand Rock, the birthplace of stop action photography. 8-year-old son, so I know where the best chicken tenders are. Now before we get too far into the tour, I am going to hand the mic over to your pilot for today's adventure, who's going to tell you a little bit more about the rules on board, as well as a little bit about the Wisconsin River itself.
Welcome aboard the Yellow Thunder. It's another great day to explore the Wisconsin River. A river so grand, they named a state after it. My name is Jim. You can call me Murph. I've been hanging around the Dells since 1975, working mainly in schools. I still love to play on the Wisconsin River. We have a few simple rules you're asking everybody to follow in order to make the trip most enjoyable. Of course, there's no smoking, open flames, or vaping of any kind aboard this gas-powered vessel. Please keep all objects and body parts inside the windows down below and the railings up top, especially on the shore landings where I may bounce around a bit. As a courtesy to your fellow passengers and your guide Matt, we ask that during the narrative portion of Matt's tour, you please refrain from loud or cell phone conversations, as we'll be providing ample opportunities to visit throughout the tour. And finally, as Matt mentioned, should there ever be a need for a life vest on a Dells Boat Tour, they're available for those of us down below underneath the seats of the blue wooden benches. For those of you up top, there are 2 blonde wooden crates at the back of the top deck, with plenty for everybody. Now, in time, as recently as 10,000 years ago, if you would have looked out the right-hand side of the boat right now, just over 3 miles away, you'd have seen a huge wall of ice and ice for as far as the eye could see. That was the Green Bay Lobe of the Wisconsin Glacier. It had snuck around behind us and dammed up the Wisconsin at the bottom what is now the lower Dells, before continuing further into southern Wisconsin. what happens when you dam up the Wisconsin with a huge wall of ice. You can
belongs to Romance Cliff on the left there, standing at 75 feet tall. Now there's a little bit of a legend that goes with Romance Cliff. Stories tell us of Native American wedding ceremonies that happen on top of Romance Cliff. And during these wedding ceremonies, they would light a branch and throw it to the river below. Now if that branch stayed lit all the way down to the river, you knew you were in for a long and happy marriage. Now if that branch did go out on the way down, well, you knew you were in for a long one. Now as we pass through the jaws of the Upper Dells, the river on average runs around 5 to 20 feet deep, but the portion we are crossing over right now sits at 110 feet deep. That is about the same size as either of the cliffs on either side of us, doubled and pushed underwater. Now coming up on the right-hand side of the boat, you may see a pile of rocks that kind of looks like a stack of pancakes.
Oh, somebody carved
This
into
is Chimney Rock, and it is the second most
So this
photographed
stuck up
rock
pancake.
formation here in the Wisconsin Dells.
Wow, look at that. Like
Now it gets
stack.
its name from the old stick and mortar chimneys used by the pioneers back in the late 1800s, and it's a great example of differential erosion. Erosion that takes place over time with water, ice, and wind. Now for this next rock formation, I'm gonna need to borrow your imagination, so I hope that you brought them on board today. Off to the right of the boat, there is a cliff face. Now if you keep looking, you may see a face in
I
that
did,
cliff.
yeah. Right
Off to the right, there's a triangular shape that acts as a nose. There's a little gap underneath it that acts as a mouth, with eyes above the nose, and a tree headdress. This is Black Hawk Profiler. Now Black Hawk was a Native American chief here, along both the Sauk and Fox tribes, with territory anywhere between 50 miles north of here, all the way down to Rock Island, Illinois. Now we shouldn't have too many issues with that temperature today compared to the last 2 days, but you may have noticed.
Woke up late, missed the morning glaze, but the sunlight hits in so many ways. Grab my shades and hit the streets. No.
Now up ahead of us to the right side, you see a buoy hanging out there, and that is right in front of Chapel Gorge. Now Chapel Gorge gets its name from the way the trees grow in the canopy, and when the light shines down, it gives a very cathedral-like effect. So you can see all the rocks sticking out of the beginning of Chapel Gorge. But Chapel Gorge is also a unique area in that it has down the Wisconsin River, and that wildlife comes actually deeper than it is wide. At its most narrow, the narrows sit at 52 feet wide, or roughly the length of our boat inside the boat. Now before Wisconsin was known for beer and cheese and the Green Bay Packers, we are known for our booming lumber industry. And the Wisconsin River made for a wonderful way to get all of that lumber from upstate all the way down to the Mississippi and beyond. However, it was not without its perils, and this portion of the Wisconsin River proved to be quite treacherous. Now directly ahead of us, you will see that the channel will take a left-hand turn at around 90 degrees, and it sits around 90 feet deep. This is the Devil's Elbow. Now the Devil's Elbow is quite the tricky portion of this rafting journey. You have some inexperienced raftsmen that would come down into the Narrows, not expecting the Devil's Elbow to be such a sharp turn. They would lose, sometimes risk serious injury, and sometimes lose their life in the process. Now this challenge did provide a brand new job opportunity for those who live in the Dells for a standing river pilot. Now a standing river pilot would be at the beginning of the Narrows to hop on these rafts and safely guide them through the Narrows without losing life or lumber. Now one of the most eccentric and best promoting now these two channels did create the largest island here in the Wisconsin Hawk Island, which sits at over 100 acres large. It also is assumed that every single tree indigenous to Wisconsin grows on Black Hawk Island, which makes it a very unique opportunity to study environmental sciences for both the University of Wisconsin college systems, as well as Camp Upham Woods, a local camp that allows Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and 4-H groups to go to the island as well. Alright, so we are taking our right-hand turn to head into the channel we affectionately refer to as the Narrows. But as we are going to be passing by two rock formations. These are called the Twin Sisters. More animals. You take a look off the right-hand side of the boat. You see a little mother duck with his ducklings. But don't worry, pretty soon they'll grow big enough to become the original Wisconsin ducks. Now those twin sisters I was mentioning before do share the same size, shape, and general tree foliage on them. They're going to be on the left hand of the boat. The first one is up there sticking on a Black Hawk Island. And the second sister is right by that slow no wake sign, the circular white and orange sign to the left as well. Now, of course, here on the Wisconsin River, we love to name all of our rocks, so we named the first sister Kate, which of course makes the second sister Duplicate. If you didn't like that one, you can call them Pete and Repeat. So as we are leaving Lover's Lane, we're passing by two dots here that have Sarah Pepsi, the only resort on the upper hills, and that is the Chula Vista. Now, Chula Vista, roughly translated, means beautiful view, and I think as we exit Lover's Lane, you can all agree it is quite the beautiful view. Now, it was not always like that. If you could imagine, back in the 1910s, we were surrounded by a lot of hotels, other attractions, boat docks, and the like. Now, this all changed with one man, George Crandall. Now, George Crandall firmly believed that no one was the Dells. So in the 1920s, he began the process to acquire all the land around here. During the Great Depression, he even acquired some of that acreage for as little as $1 an acre. Now, I do want to take some time to point out those massive cliffs off to the right side of the boat. Now, these cliffs stand at a whopping 90 feet tall. The one on the right is called Sunset Cliff. Now, Sunset Cliff gets its name from the way that the golden hues of the sunset shine on that sun-bleached stone. So if you're lucky enough to be out in the bay, roughly around sunset, it is quite a beautiful view. Now, if you look at Sunset Cliff, you may see some holes in the rocks. Those are called bugs, B-U-G-G-S, and they're usually home to our seasonal birds that live in the dells. We just said goodbye to the Cliff and Bank swallows, who were here from around April until about a couple weeks ago when they left back to Venezuela. And we love having the Cliff and Bank swallows here because, on average, they ate twice their body weight in mosquitoes every day. So while they were here, we did not see a single mosquito here in the Wisconsin Dells. We are now entering Witch's Gulch. Witch's Gulch, of course, got its name from H.H. Bennett, who is a landscape photographer here in the Dells in the late 1800s. Now, when he was taking photos of the Gulch, he was finding many faces appearing in the pictures he was taking. Now, directly ahead of us, you may see one of those witch faces. It's in the triangular shape of rock that is missing a few trees. Now, if you imagine that to be upside down with eyes at the bottom, the middle section to be a nose, and the pointed chin, that is the upside down face of one of the first witches. Now, a little bit about our stop here at the Witch's Gulch. This is going to be a short walk. It's going to be 2 blocks back to the concession area, and then 2 blocks back to the boat for a total of 4 blocks on an even surface. Now, after those 2 blocks, you'll find concessions, restrooms, as well as our only smoking area while we are on tour. If you need that smoking area, just head past concessions until you see blue barricades. Stop there, don't go past them. That is your smoking area. to dock, I will ask that you do remain seated until we give the all clear to stand up. We are coming up to a concrete dock. I don't want any accidents to happen. As well as when we are docking, or
અહીંયા બાજુમાં એના કરતા અહીંયા જવાળ સારું હોય અહીંયા જવાળ સારું હોય
આ પબ્લિક ને જવા દે 10 મિનિટ આવી જાય
Whirlpool chambers. Wow, this is just like unique and creepy. Isn't it?
Yeah.
The water carves its way through the area.
What to do?
Okay, this little spot. Wow. I bet weird to be the builder here, you know? Like, holy cow, I gotta build a ramp through these rocks. Cuts right through the canyon. Creeks underneath of us.
Hello. That was cool.
These are all in the river.
was at the top of that giant shield. We even have some records in the 1930s of the river being 4 feet above the giant shield.
tribes that held that bluff to be sacred. There were the Meskwakis, came to know them as the Fox tribe. Then for hundreds upon hundreds of years, this right shoreline here was territory to the Menominee tribe. And during that same time frame, the left shoreline was inhabited by the Ho-Chunk or Ho-Chungra peoples. They still live in the area. We grew up knowing them as the Winnebago tribe. However, Winnebago is not a name they gave themselves. It was actually a derogatory name given them by a rival tribe. Translated, Winnebago means people of the stinky waters or stinky fish eaters. So of course,
Why is there a catch thing there? Because we're going up there?
If the dog missed his jump, then
We have a dog. Oh, wow. Luckily, the rain is not getting going. Behind me, that is 14-year-old son Ashley making the jump in boots, jeans, a dress shirt, and a vest. Now, H.H. Bennett took the picture from the ledge up there to make it completely level so that no one could say that he was hanging by any wires. Now, up until about the 1940s, it used to be the tour guide's job to make the jump.
see, doggy,
I'm glad
Come.
for insurance.
video, honey.
But we do have our awesome and much cuter dogs to make the jump for us today. Now, in a minute, the dog is going to be making the jump to the left
Yeah.
and then back over. If you
Can
take
you
a
zoom?
photo, you may only
there.
get a tail,
that's
and we
good.
don't have 17 tries. So if you want to document it, I recommend taking a video, and then some of your phones have the capability of taking a photo while taking that video, okay? So go ahead, point your cameras up at that 5'7" gap up there, and once I see everyone is ready, I'll let them know we're all ready. Are we ready?
Yeah.
All right, we're ready.
Yes. Doggy's like, woo!
Oh, you can't get that. You gotta be really good to catch that.
Well, that's the end of our tour, and I hope you did enjoy every moment of it like we did. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you guys in the next video.